Hey there, Fire Team K9 Tribe. Carl and my trusty companion Piper here for another live training session. The audio wasn't too great today, so I decided that what I'm going to do is just do a voiceover here. So we have a lot of dogs in our world that are reactive to pretty much everything in our environment. So one of the examples that we often see is dogs that are reactive to moving vehicles, to other people walking down the street, to bikes, scooters, skateboards, and so on. Anything that's basically moving. And if you happen to have a dog that it comes from working lines, especially dogs that have a high prey drive, and that's something that's been bred into them, chasing something that's moving is very common, and that's what we often see in our reactive dogs. They see something moving quickly, they want to chase it, they get amped up, they bark, and they pull on the leash. One of the great things that we can do to help these dogs desensitize to this type of stimulus is by using play. Very commonly we use food also to work with dogs in these cases, but I think one of the best options for us is to use play. Some dogs don't know how to play. We have to teach them how to play initially, and we do that in an environment that has low distraction, and then we build up that play drive. Once we have a play drive that works, then we can step out into a higher distraction environment, such as what I'm doing right now, an intersection where it has cars and people coming and going. So what I'm doing here in this video is having Piper chase the ball. Okay, so that's building on her prey drive. So she is completely focused on that ball and wants to get it because she wants to play tug. By playing tug, that sort of in her mind brings that ball alive. It's almost as if though she's caught something and she's caught a small animal or something like that. We're building that prey drive. We're fulfilling that innate need for the dog by chasing and then shaking it, tearing it apart, so to speak. It's part of the process for the dogs. Now, what I do here is I also mix in some obedience. You'll see later on in the video, I ask her to sit. I ask her to go into a down position. Some of the other things I ask her to do is heel nicely beside me. Sometimes I ask her to place and just sit there and watch the traffic go by. You'll see in the video at one point there's a truck that comes by with the equipment on the back, which was quite loud. So I intentionally stopped doing what I was doing. I had Piper go into a downstay and just calmly watch the truck go by. Now, 2 years ago when I had Piper, there was no way we could sit quietly and watch traffic go by at this intersection. So for those of you who have dogs that are highly reactive, there is hope and there is an end in sight. It just takes time, and there's a process in terms of building the skill of play, building your handling skills with the dog, and then working in different environments so that the dog learns to become neutral, so to speak, around those stimulus, but also at the same time focuses on you and the toy. Ultimately, what we want is for you to be the most important thing in their environment, so that when you need to get their attention, they will focus on you, and they'll forget about what's in their environment. So another thing that was a big trigger for Piper was buses. You just saw a bus go by there and she didn't even pay attention to it. So here's how it works. You take that toy, you withhold it from the dog. So you get the dog chasing it and you do maybe one, maybe two, you can call this a pass by, where the dog runs after it and you pull it away from them. And on the third one, you can throw it on the ground. And just throw it just enough so the dog is going to go get it, and it's within the range of your leash. Now, your dog may not want to play tug right away. They might just grab the toy and then drop it. Okay? Then you just continue that process. The dog chases the ball once or twice. You throw it on the ground. They chase it. They get it. Eventually, the dog will start to play tug. If your dog is playing keep away, however, do not chase your dog. You should always have something else that's have higher value of that toy to do an exchange. I like to call it a business exchange with the dog. So for example, if you have that toy, the dog chases it, the dog gets it, now they don't want to let it go. If you have a high value food as an example, then you can take that high value food, offer it to the dog will most likely drop the toy. You'll mark with your marker word, perhaps that word is yes, and then give them that treat right away, grab the ball, and then continue the process. And if you do that a lot, you do many repetitions of that, eventually you start adding in the word out or drop it or leave it, whatever your word is for the dog to drop that toy. And then that will be part of the process as well. So then that becomes the dog chasing the toy a couple times, the dog grabs the toy, you play tug for a little bit, maybe 5-10 seconds, and then you say out or leave it or drop, whatever you want to say. The dog should drop the toy and leave it right away. Then you continue the process. You do that for a little while, maybe a minute or two, and then you ask the dog to do something in terms of basic obedience. You'll ask them to sit, you'll ask them to go down, maybe heel beside you, maybe walk a few steps in a nice heel, and then immediately reward them to play with the ball again. And this video was about 10 minutes. I think I spent about 10 or 15 minutes outside playing at this corner. I didn't have to go for a very long walk. It was just a 2-minute walk from my house. This is a much more stimulating activity for the dog. And you, of course, you get to play, you get a little bit of movement at the same time, but more importantly, it's a much more stimulating activity for the dog, and therefore the dog will be tuckered out afterwards. Much better than just going for a walk with your dog. Many people that start adopting these practices find that their dog's reactivity eventually goes away. So again, finding places, starting out in a low distraction environment, perhaps in your garage, your basement, your backyard then, your front yard, and then down the street around the corner, and then at a slightly busier intersection, maybe at a park. And then eventually down the road, you start doing this on the outside of a dog park, which is fenced, where there's no chance of another dog coming out and attacking your dog or having a fight. And it's a great way to work with your dog in the presence of other dogs if your dog has dog-to-dog reactivity, and at the same time working on decreasing that reactivity. Some of the dogs that I work with, I do this type of stuff, but also if down the road the goal is eventually to bring them to these higher distraction environments so that we can decrease that reactivity, of course, with the dog. Okay, I think I've talked long enough. There's a lot more to this. Of course, we can work on this. Of course, as I said, in a low distraction environment, build those play skills with the dog. Teach the handler how to do this type of stuff, and then they can work on this for homework. And then over time, we can build on higher and higher distraction environments and work specifically with the specific triggers that increases the reactivity of the dog. I will allow you to watch the rest of this video just to see, there's the truck. See, the Piper's just sitting and watching this truck go by. I wasn't able to do this a couple years ago when I first got her. She was 1 year old. For the first year or so, we wouldn't have been able to sit there quietly just watching that truck go by. So there's an example of watching the truck go by, and then I rewarded her immediately after doing what I want her to do, is just sit quietly, watch the truck go by. Okay, until next time, everyone, I hope you have a fantastic day. Happy training. If you have any questions, please send them my way, and I'd be happy to help work on your dog's reactivity. Bye for now.